Hello, everyone. This is Jeff at Divine Cosmos. Welcome to the next installment in my question and answer series. I've been receiving quite a few questions from the readers and followers of my blog and YouTube channel lately. And today I'm going to share my perspective on one of the more recent ones from a reader named Michael. Michael's question was this: is there info on the now moment and its interaction with the universal field of knowledge and experience? Do we share the same now moment? Does each of our aspects have its own now moment? Are the Akashic records static or changing through feedback? Those are some good questions that I don't think I've specifically talked about in my articles, so let's dive in. As far as the single or multiple now moments goes, all the subthreads or aspects of source consciousness actually share the same now moment. There is ultimately only one now moment. Even though it appears that each aspect of Source's consciousness is having or is in its own now moment within the reality construct that each is perceiving and experiencing, this is an illusion. All realities are happening simultaneously, and all experiences within those realities are happening simultaneously. If you haven't read my article, The Illusion of Time and Space, you should check it out because it explains how the experience of, quote, the experience of reality is created within source consciousness. Note that I said the experience of. What I'm alluding to here is that reality is not real in the normal sense that we use that word. It's an illusion created within consciousness. There is only consciousness ultimately, and the experience of reality, any reality, is actually an illusion created within consciousness. Very much like a virtual reality on our computers. You are an aspect of source consciousness, having a purely perceptual experience within your consciousness that you call your reality. And it's a very sophisticated virtual reality indeed. Even though this reality is a symbolic construct and not real in the normal sense of the word, the experiences are very much real, because they are formative to your consciousness. This is why I will often say reality is imaginary, but the experiences are real. One of the interesting consequences of the fact that all aspects of source consciousness are sharing the same one now moment is that any aspect of source consciousness can communicate with any other aspect of source consciousness, regardless of whether they are engaged in experiencing a reality or not, and regardless of what, quote, time frame they appear to be experiencing within a given reality. Of course, communicating with other aspects or threads of source consciousness takes some training and practice to master. And of course, that communication happens directly through consciousness. So as a hint, meditation really helps to perfect your ability to connect to other aspects of source consciousness through your consciousness. But that's a whole different topic, which isn't something I'm going to get into now. Regarding the question of whether the Akashic records are static or changing, since by definition the Akashic records are the recordings of each individual aspect's experiences within a particular reality, then these records are static. They are simply a recording of what happened. And so we can go and review them as needed whenever we like, which often happens in our post-life review with our guides and our higher self. But there is another database related to these recordings, these Akashic records, that is fundamental to the engine that produces the virtual realities that we are experiencing, that we might call the Probable Futures database. And what's contained in there, in the Probable Futures database, are all the timelines yet to be experienced and contain every variation on what might or could be chosen or selected to happen by the players of the game, of the participants in the reality. It is a massive branching information structure representing just about anything you could choose to experience. You, e.g., your consciousness, in fact, is walking step by step through the frames in this database, creating the movie that you call your reality. This information is pre-computed by the aspects of source consciousness that are responsible for generating realities. This structure is dynamic. It is constantly being updated to reflect new, emergent possibilities and probabilities. Although much of the structure remains largely the same, new branches are sprouting or old branches are being trimmed at the finer scales in this structure. And of course, as your consciousness walks a path through this structure, that is, your manifest timeline, the part of your timeline that becomes the past, e.g., that you experienced, is stored in the Akashic records for you and others to inspect later. That's how it works. Well, that's it for my answer today. If you guys have any questions or comments, please share them in the comment section. See you in the next Q&A.